Hello and welcome back to part 3 of this 4-part series of how to connect your test gear to your stereo gear back to your test gear. This video series was prompted by a viewer request, and it's actually been a fun series for me, and I hope it's been enjoyable for you. Now, this series, if you've already watched part 1 and part 2, you've found out this is basically for newbies. Advanced users, feel free to hang around if you'd like, and or check out anytime. On today's episode, we're going to actually look at how to connect a CD player to your test gear, and this will also apply to your DVD player as far as audio is concerned. We've seen basically the hows to do and all that stuff in the previous versions, but the CD player was something that was requested for, so we're going to go ahead and do that. For this test, basically the same gear is needed as we've seen in the other previous tests. We're going to use a audio spectrum analyzer. We're going to use a oscilloscope. We're going to use a sensitive AC voltmeter, and instead of using, whoops, forgot to turn the frequency counter on, bad technician, we're not going to use the function generator or audio generator on this. Hopefully it's obvious, but if not, it's because majority of your CD players do not have a input, and it wouldn't really do us too much good. If we had a CD recorder, then sure, we would use that at that point in time. And we're going to use a frequency counter that has plenty of glare. As with the other videos, we're still working with the audio spectrum, which is 20 to 20,000 hertz. So again, as in the previous video stated, this is really all of our test gear needs to be, is cover that spectrum. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention that I'm also using is a isolation variac, and even though this is known equipment to me, this equipment has been in storage for 3 years and has not been in use, has not fired up in that time frame. I'm not anticipating anything to go wrong, but just in case it does, that right there will pop the safety and should be okay. It's also good to use if you're going to open the device up and start dorking around in there. If you accidentally touch a hot component, you know, you don't want to get 60 volts shoved through you. That will protect you to some degree until you close the loop, and then could have a problem. So just take heed if you've got any of your machines open and plugged into live current, regardless of safety or not. You always want to practice safety, safety, safety. Stay away from jewelry that dangles. You don't want that. That's metal, and high voltage could jump, or you could accidentally touch something and give yourself a zap, and that's not good. Cables, as mentioned in the previous cables, use high quality cables. I'm using RG316. This is coax cable used for radio communication spectrum, but I find that it's also good for audio and just about anything up to 3 gigs or about, and it also handles up to 300 volts, I believe. So it's very versatile, very flexible. BNC connectors on both ends. On this end that connects to the CD player, we are using a BNC to RCA adapter, and on the opposite end is BNC, which will be plugged into our O-scope. And it just dawned on me, I need one of these. This is a RCA to BNC adapter, which we've seen in our cassette video. And remember, that little tab right there represents ground. This side does not have ground. And it's okay if you forget that. All you have to do is take your voltometer and touch the outside right here, which is your ground, to this pin, and it should, if you have it in continuity mode, it will beep at you, or if you have it in your ohms mode, your ohms will zero out. And you could test this other side here just to make sure. This will not beep or it will not respond in your ohms. So we'll need that for this machine down there. And then of course our CD player. And what I'm using today to generate tones, I'm using two CDs. This one here is a 400 hertz 1 hour long CD, and this one right here is a 1000 kilohertz tone 1 hour. And then I have two sweeping signals on there. And that's how we're going to inject a signal into the device and test it that way. Now, how do you get this? Well, you can record your own disc from your function generator, audio frequency generator, onto your computer. You'll need to open up your sound card software, or your recording software rather, and record onto your hard drive that way. Now that's outside of this scope. I will not be able to teach you how to do that. There's going to be some expectations that you know how to do basics with your equipment, or search YouTube for tutorial videos on how to do that. Another way of doing this, and this is exactly what I did here for convenience for myself, you could also connect your generator up to a digital audio recorder, or you might even be able to plug it into your cell phone and record that way. Again, outside of the scope of this video, check your tutorials for that. These, all I did is I went to YouTube and I typed in a 400 hertz tone test, sine wave, and then I typed in a 1 kilohertz tone test, and I found a multitude of videos, and I went ahead and selected 1 hour. Even though that's more than you're going to need, it will definitely allow you to test as you need. So once you find these videos on YouTube, you'll want to download the videos to your computer, and through your recording software convert them to audio. Now again, that's outside of the scope of this video. However, just go to your favorite internet and punch in something like free YouTube video downloader and search for a downloader program, and it'll allow you to copy the link and download the video to your hard drive, at which return now you're also going to need to convert that to a to record it, convert it to audio, and return to then convert it to a disc. It's simple, it's easy, but if you've never done it, it might be a little daunting. I apologize, that's outside the scope of this video. Again, search for videos on YouTube on how to do that. Do yourself a favor though, when you record these to disc, even though you may have a player that plays MP3s or WMAs or WAVs, record these as a standard music CD. Because in your trials and tribulations, you may pick up a CD player that does not support those formats. And just about every CD player, well, every CD player and every DVD player will recognize a standard music CD. So it'll allow you to use your standards or your test CDs on your player. Now, there are a couple of caveats to that. There are CD players and CD recorders that will not recognize burnt CDs. They will only recognize silver CDs. Without getting too technical on the reasons why, let me just put it in layman's terminology. Different languages. Not all CD players can speak the same language that it takes for a recordable CD versus a non-recordable CD. There's different formats, different languages, and not every machine is capable. So just remember, if your CD doesn't work, it may be the player and not the way how you burnt it. One way to confirm that is search the internet again, find the owner's manual, and look to see what discs that it supports. The cables, we're going to plug one into one channel and the other into the other channel. And honestly, I don't think it's really all that important what goes where, because it's a mono recording. So our channels should be the same. The only time that this is really going to be a concern is if we've got one channel outputting more or less a signal than the other. Then we're going to want to know what channel that's at. That way you could troubleshoot it. And then we plug our cables into our scope. Make sure our player is off. Mine wasn't. Make sure everything's in the off position, neutral position, whatever. Go ahead, and if you are using a switch, let's go ahead and turn it on. Check to see if we have any draw on our amps, and we don't. We shouldn't. And then we come back down to our player, and we're going to see this power up for the first time in 3 years. How exciting, I know. Now let's see if we can get the scope in line. That way, if anything goofy happens on that, we'll be able to see it. And nothing happened. How exciting. The drawer opened automatically. I don't think it should have did that. So there could be some servicing that is needed with this disc. Let's go ahead and select our 1 kilohertz disc. Put it in the tray. Hit close. Okay. This apparently needs some servicing before we can go any further. All right. Not a good subject to work on. Repair of this is outside of the scope of this video, so we will not repair it on this video. All right, I pulled another player out of storage, and I thought this was one that I reviewed in an earlier video 5 years ago, and I just went to confirm that, and it wasn't. So I don't think I've ever reviewed this CD player. I don't remember exactly when I got it, and I don't remember when the last time I used it. It's probably one and the same. But I would venture to say every bit of 5 to 6 years ago was probably when I got it. Maybe a little more, a little less, but either way. So we'll get to see this one turn on for the first time as well. Power button is out. I've got it plugged into power up there, but I failed to plug in the connection back here. Got them in nice and secure. Gonna draw. Anyway, this deck dates to 1992, so just a few years older than the last one. I went through the owner's manual and service manual, and it didn't say anything about whether or not what CDs it's going to support. So we'll find out together. That came on. Almost looks like the other display. Let's see if the door will stay closed on this one. Okay. So it looks like we might be a-okay with this one. As far as it staying closed anyway. And I spoke too soon apparently. Okay, well, it's very obvious that both of these units need to be repaired. That's weird. Or maybe it just needs a moment to warm up. Psych. Mine. Alrighty, let me work on these two decks, get them working, and then we'll pick this video back up from there. Okay, I believe I am past my technical issues that we saw in the last clip with the two units. For those of you who may not follow my channel, my wife in recent months has become interested in electronics, and so off camera, there's no video of this, we sat down with the last deck we saw in the video, and we spent half hour or so opening it, going through it, talking about it, and then I showed her how to resolve the issue. And on the second deck, she went through it in about 10 minutes, 12 minutes if you're counting opening the case and closing the case. Same problem. It was the mode switch that was causing the issue. So, little side note there, and my wife does watch my videos. She does support me, so I definitely wanted to recognize her in a public forum for her continued interest in the hobby, and she was really jazzed that she was able to resurrect some vintage gear. So we all know now, if this blows up, it's her fault, right? Okay, let's carry on. So let's we got this all plugged back in where we need it. We got that. I turn this on, and let's go ahead and fire this up. I've already got this plugged in to there. Perfect. So we're going to try our 1000 hertz tone disc. Ah, no. It's just not like that disc. It worked once. Did I not have it seated in all the way? And I tested with that CD. Or we tested with that CD and it worked. Maybe because the unit's on an angle. Okay, that one's working. So we will test with this one, and I'm not sure why I don't like that one all of a sudden. So let's go ahead and hit play. Now this is the 400 hertz one, so I'll need to set that back up, which is no big deal. Let's hit play. And we see that that's now playing. And we could see that we do have a signal on this. Let's go ahead, and for those that have a digital oscope, all you have to do is push your auto button and for those that don't have a magic button, you're going to have to play with your time and your volts per division, and by doing that, keep messing with it, you will eventually see a signal on your screen. The second thing you want to do is pay attention to your settings on each one of your channels. You want to make sure that they both read the same. And as I stated in the beginning of this video, the source for this tone came off of YouTube, so I do not know how valid it is. So turn on one of my markers. We'll also move this onto the frequency counter, because okay, so marker is set, and we see that the scope does agree that yes, this is a 400 hertz signal. Let me turn that back off. And as you notice, we're only seeing one pattern. And if we come down here and we adjust for that, whoops, wrong button. There we go. Just this. We can now see that we do indeed have two signals, and I'll make these smaller so we can see them. Let's see here. So on my scope, that was channel 1 we just adjusted. So actually I want to bring channel 1 up. I want to make that the top signal, and now I need to change the other one. Alright, and so both of our signals are the same. And we can definitely see the pattern looks really, really good. Nice and stable. Now, one other trick you could do with your O scope, if you are using two channels, I can't pronounce the French word that it's called, so I won't even try. I will write it, I will have it on screen so you could try to pronounce it. But essentially, you're putting your scope in XY position. So let's go ahead and do that. And by putting this in XY position, if your scope does not have a frequency counter on it like we've seen a moment ago, that's okay. Because this next step, it will tell you if they're both in sync. They should be, but if for some reason, whatever reason, the one channel is doing something strange, you can put your scope in XY mode, and then you can see right here, we're just getting a single pattern. And that's exactly what you want to see. If that shape was a circle and the circle was moving about, that would tell you then that those two channels are not proper as far as frequency is concerned, not voltage. If it was voltage, then it would be something, you know, odd like that. However, it's working out just fine. Perfect. So that's beautiful. Your scope may not show both lines. It really depends on, or both channels. It really depends on the features of your scope. But when you put it in XY mode, you'll at least have this one right here. And that's fine, because that's what you're trying to look at. So now let's go ahead and move one channel to our, oops, well, I didn't stand by. It's this is too far away for that, for the voltmeter. Let me set that up. Stand by. All right, I moved it a little closer. I think I moved it just barely close enough. And so if you were to take the other channel and walk it over there, you'd be able to see if both channels were at the same spot. Again, it's a mono-source disc, so theoretically, technically, yes, it should have, both channels should show that. So to save time, we won't do that. What we will do next is, let's go ahead and walk this to the frequency counter. cables untangled. Again, this should be a 400 hertz frequency. Perfect. Okay. So as you can see, the source from YouTube is right on, so we're cool with that. And then we'll take it down to the spectrum analyzer. And there's what it looks like on the spectrum analyzer. A roundabout way, that's how you would connect your equipment to your test gear. Now, what we just did here is by no way, shape, or form a calibration to the CD player. And that's really not what this video is about. The request was, how do you connect your test gear to your stereo gear? And I think we just demonstrated that just fine. To calibrate the CD player, there's a lot more involved. You have to open up the top, and you have to take the probes from your scope and you connect it into certain places on the board, and then you look at the pattern that's on your screen, all the while following directions from the service manual telling you what to do. It's also going to involve using your frequency counter to make sure certain aspects of it is on frequency. Again, that's way above and beyond the scope of this video, and with you being a newbie, it's really not recommended that you do such a task at this moment. One thing that you could do is you can clean the laser. Now, there is a special CD that you could buy that has a little brush, a dry brush on it, and when you put it in here and you hit play, it'll sweep across the laser and brush it off. I actually have a couple of those somewhere. I don't know where I got them, but I got them, and they work out just fine. If you don't have such a thing, turn the device off, unplug it from power, open it up, and inside you will see the loader tray, and in the middle of that loader tray you will see the laser. It's going to look like a clear piece of plastic, like maybe an eye or something. That is your laser. Again, take heed, do not do this with it plugged in. That's a laser. You don't want to put lasers in your eyeballs. Trust me, that hurts a lot. Very painful. You can take a dry cloth, hopefully as lint-free as possible, and brush off any debris that's on the lens, and you can call that done. You really don't want to use cotton swabs or anything that offers lint. You can get cotton swabs that are lint-free, such as these blue ones right here, and basically what they are it's not cotton, it's more of a foam. And you can see no fibers, no lint. You could use something like that You can buy these off of eBay. You'll probably find them under camera sensor cleaning supplies or something like that. Just do a search and you should find them. Lint-free swabs or something like that might be a good key search. I've had these for a while. I bought a bunch of them. Don't remember what my search was. Just wanted to bring it back in. I took it off of the legs there, put the 1000 hertz disc in, and it worked so far. Oops. So you're gonna witness this with me. Let me hit play first. I guess that would help. Okay. There we go. That worked. That's really nice. Okay, so we got our marker and we're at 1000. Fabulous. And we'll confirm that. Perfect. It was on a 4-second sweep. So that source from the YouTube is also a good source. And then we'll come down here. But either way, we could definitely see we got a nice signal there at 1000. Wonderful. Okay, well, I guess that will now wrap this up. We see that everything's working like it should. YouTube is a good source, at least if you look for the hour-long versions. I can't speak for any others. But that's it. That's a wrap, I guess. So we're done. We will catch you in our last video of the series, and we will talk to you later. Have a great one. Bye.